Okay, so we've opened our Greenfoot scenario, and we're looking at the different sections. This section here is the world section. This is a world object as opposed to the world class here, which we'll talk about objects and classes in a little bit. But this large grid area is the world, and when you whatever scenario you're making, so this is a particular scenario having to do with wombats, but whatever scenario you're making, the world section will take up the main portion of the project window, and it's where all the action takes place. Another section that you'll see is the classes. So, and that's this section here. So the classes for this project are world and actor. You will always see when you open a project. So you always have a world class and an actor class. And then for this particular project, the world that we're working with is the Wombat world. Okay, so this is an instance, this grid area is an instance of the Wombat world class. And we have actors Leaf and Wombat. And we'll take a look at how we create the Leaf and Wombat objects in a minute. But let's look at whatever other section we have down here. We have the execution controls. Okay, and these controls will make a little bit more sense as we add objects to the world and make them move around and so on. So how do we place objects in the world? The way we do that is you right-click or control-click. And you'll notice that things look a little bit different, actually, probably on your version. For example, in the tutorial, there's a compile button. This was used in the older versions of Greenfoot. So if you have a newer version, you probably won't have a compile button. The compiles are handled automatically. And compiling just means taking whatever code has been written and translating it into machine code so that the computer can understand it. But again, like I said, that's being done behind the scenes in the later versions. So in the classes section over here on the right hand side, we can either right click or control click on the Wombat, and we have a lot of different choices here in this drop down menu. One of them is New Wombat, and that's the choice that you use when you want to create an instance of the Wombat. You want to create a Wombat object and put it into the world. So we're going to click here to create it, and now we're going to take this Wombat and add it to the world. And since the Wombat likes to eat leaves, we're going to create a leaf by right-clicking on the leaf class here, and or control clicking, make a new leaf. Now, one thing you can do, and again, depending on the version of Java that you're using, but once you've added one of these guys to the scenario, you can press your Shift key. I just pressed my Shift key. You can see that I have now a new leaf, and if I keep holding down the Shift key, I can add a bunch of leaves like this. Okay, and the same thing with wombats. If I place a wombat, we need to right click and say new wombat. If I place a wombat in the world and hit the shift key, I can even add a bunch of wombats also. Okay. So that's how we add objects to the world using the classes. So the classes can be thought of as like a cookie cutter or a blueprint for the individual objects. So we use this kind of like a cookie cutter, just we to create these new guys, and just it's like we're just pasting multiple ones on there, and that's how we add things in the world. And then in the next video we'll start looking at how we actually make these characters do things. Oh, and if you want to clear the scenario, you can just hit the reset button. So I'll hit reset, and then in the next video we'll, after I put some guys on here, we'll actually make them act.